welcome everyone here tonight. And we do not have any changes to the agenda, so we'll look for a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion by Greg.
Second.
Second by Nate. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's been approved. Next item is the mayor, and we do have a proclamation, so Mr. Mayor.
It's always nice when we have one of our companies in Owatonna celebrate 100 years of existence, and that's what Truth Hardware will be doing on September 19th. So the proclamation reads, City of Owatonna, whereas Truth Hardware will be celebrating its 100th anniversary on September 19th, 2014, whereas Truth started in 1914 as a blacksmith shop where the company's name was founded on the quality and reputation of hand tools they made. And whereas today Truth is part of the Amesbury Truth, an international company with best-in-class solutions for window and door manufacturing. And whereas today Truth employs over 700 employees in the Steele County area. And whereas Truth has been an excellent corporate citizen giving back to the Owatonna community in many different ways. Now, therefore, I, Thomas A. Kuntz, Mayor of the great city of Owatonna, hereby proclaim Friday, September 19th, 2014 as Truth Hardware Day, and I encourage all citizens of the city of Owatonna and Steele County to join President Jeff Garby and all the Truth Hardware employees, current and retired, to help celebrate the company's 100 years of existence and look forward to another 100 years in our great city. Dated September 2nd, 2014 by Thomas A. Kuntz, Mayor.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the financial report, and I'll ask Greg Schultz to read it.
Okay, give a recap of the financial report. Checks over $20,000 are $347,643 to Crane Creek Asphalt for 2014 street and utility projects. $37,810 to DMC Plumbing and Heating for the wastewater treatment plant boiler replacement. $82,316 to Don Bornicke Construction for the Northwest Industrial Pond. $86,383 to Minger Construction for 2013 street and utility projects. $89,724 to Hartman Companies for bunker repair and reconstruction. $20,981 to Owatonna Area Chamber of Commerce, which is our lodging tax. $50,226 to Pappy Companies, which is a security system for West Hills and the library. $41,404 to the South Central Drug Investigation Unit. That's their second quarter reimbursement. Other expenditures of $222,387 for a subtotal of $978,876. Of that, we had the Section 8 payments of $57,623, which adds up to a total expenditures presented of $1,036,499.51.
Thank you, Greg. What is the council's wishes?
Motion to pay the bills.
Motion by Kevin Rainey to pay the bills. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda item, the minutes of meetings, license permit requests, board and commission meeting, department reports, etc., all grouped into one motion. What is the council's wishes on the consent agenda items?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Brent Svenby to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion on any of the items? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Moving down to action items, we have 3.1.1 on sale liquor license for El Patron Mexican Grill of Owatonna at 369 18th Street Southwest or Southeast. And with that, we'll go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. We have received an application from Ruben Lopez. The restaurant is currently unoccupied, and Mr. Lopez plans to open as soon as possible. We've received his application and insurance information. The background check was submitted to the BCA and should be back soon. We are anticipating receiving a report in the next few days. Mr. Lopez will submit payment of the license fee prior to the issuance of the license, and the fee will be prorated for the remaining months of the license year, which expires June 30th, 2015. Budget impact, $3,000 annual fee for an on-sale liquor license. Prorated would be $2,250 and $200 for a Sunday sales fee. Staff recommends approval of the license application contingent on receipt of the approved background check. We have received recommendation from Chief Hiller and the receipt of the applicable license fee.
Thank you. Questions from the council? Seeing none, what is council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Kevin to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Greg?
Yeah.
Second by Greg. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to contracts and agreements, 3.2.1, flood and grant demolition quote. Troy?
As you know, the city has purchased the home at 215 Walnut Avenue using DNR flood grant money. The property is currently vacant. We did send out an invitation for quotations on August 11th. The invitation was sent to 7 local contractors that have performed demolition work within the city or have expressed interest previously, and the city did receive 2 quotations prior to the deadline of noon on August 27th. The low quotation for the demolition of the structure was received by JJD Companies with a total fee of $13,500 for demolition of the property. The house was purchased with DNR grant money. The demolition will be paid for by the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and the plan is to construct a public parking lot on that property probably next year. So staff would recommend that the low quotation from JJD Companies be approved for a total amount of $13,500 for the demolition of the property at 215 Walnut Avenue.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the council?
Troy, when do you expect that the demolition will take place?
In talking with the contractor, it's probably looking first week in October.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion there? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to board and commission recommendation 3.1, Jaguar Communications, and with that, we'll go to Troy.
Now, this is a request from Jaguar Communications to construct a 40 by 50 or 2,000 square foot building. The proposed building would be constructed using precast concrete tip-up panels. It would match the panels that were constructed as part of the data center addition. So this would be a separate building just to the east of the addition there, right on Mill Street there. Proposed building would contain 2 offices, a restroom, and storage area. It's mainly a storage area. They did want office space in there. They would also be adding some parking just to the north of the building there. Because it does have the offices, it's considered a principal use, and with 2 principal structures on the property, it's considered a minor plan unit development, and that does require a conditional use permit. So the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing at their last meeting. There was no one in opposition to the request, and so staff would recommend approval of the request as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Troy. Questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Thank you. Moving on to ordinances, 3.4.1, second reading of proposed ordinance 6-14, Z325, Nate Dotson's rezone property at 575 Partridge, the planned unit development for a new woodworking shop. And again, Troy.
So we had the first reading at the last council meeting. It's rezoning the property from an I-2 heavy industrial district to a PUD. Since there is industrial use on the property as well as a residence, it fits more into the PUD. He's proposing a 4,000 square foot building with an 800 square foot covered area there. It would be tearing down the building, and replace it with this and be within the setback and parking requirements. So again, this is second reading, and staff would recommend approval of the second reading.
Thank you, Troy.
I will abstain from voting and make myself available for questions.
Thank you.
Anybody has any?
Questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
So I'll go with Dave Burbank on this one. So we've got a second to that, and any further discussion? With that being an ordinance, we'll ask for roll call.
Councilmember Burbank.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All 5 ayes.
Thank you. That has been approved. That is the second reading, and that gives him the permission to go ahead with it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And on the next one is, we moved on to resolutions 3.51, resolution 50-14, declare a vacancy, office of council member at large. And this will go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. As you know, sadly, Councilmember at large Raymond Trulson passed away last Tuesday, August 19th. As a result, the city needs to take action necessary to fulfill the remainder of Raymond's current term, which expires on December 31st of this year. This office is on the ballot of the November 4th general election for the term to begin in January of 2015. City is required to pass a resolution declaring the vacancy as the necessary first step in the process. We will discuss later in the meeting the process the council wishes to use to fill this vacancy. Staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. What is the council's wishes on this?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved, and we do have a vacancy at this point. And moving on to Resolution 5114, Legacy Grant Application, and this we go to Corky.
Good evening, everybody. This is the same grant we were in front of you with a year ago. We applied for the grant last year for the Legacy Grant, and so we're just asking for a resolution to apply for that grant again. The memo you received probably, I think, had a typo error on that one that I saw in the packet, unless you're the one you got changed. First of all, on the background, the dates applied were 2009, 11, and now 13 was put in. And then under the budget impact, there's no financial match required, etc. And the grant is $721,680 is the total, $721,868, excuse me. And so that's the total amount. The change from last time of the $604,868 is we added a 1% inflation rate into the figures we put in a year ago. And then we've also added a trailhead and a parking lot on 26th Street near Cashman Park. And we've added that to the grant as well. And so that's the difference in cost from over a year ago of the grant we're applying for. You've also, I think, they've received the letter that we've given them to Legacy explaining one thing that's in here. As you're aware of, we received a TAP grant for year 2017. And so in our application that we're sending to the Legacy Grant, we're giving them two options if they would want to consider. Of course, number one would be if they wanted to grant the entire project. We would then turn down the TAP grant at that point if they would want to fund the entire project. And the second request would be request funding to cover the TAP grant match, which is $89,029, and also the difference in funding the project. They didn't fund engineering, architect fees, contingency, and those kind of things. And then also they didn't have this new parking lot and trailhead in the TAP grant as well. And so then that would come to a total of $347,188 if they would want to pick up that difference. And so we will attach that to the grant and send that to them. And so tonight we're asking for the same resolution that we did in 2013. And just so you, like I explained to you back in last year, a year ago, this is only asking for approval to apply for the grant. at any point in time you choose not to accept the grant, you have that option when it does get presented to you if we are awarded the grant. So this is just asking for resolution to apply for the grant through the legacy funding.
Thank you. Questions from the council? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Brent Svenby to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you, Corky. Moving on to 52.14, Dave Beaver grant application, and this will go to Troy.
Previously, the City Council has approved the East Apron Pavement Rehabilitation Project out at the airport. We've gone to bids, and the low bid has been accepted. An award of contract has been approved for this work to James Brother Construction, contingent upon securing federal and state grant funding. At the last council meeting, we had the federal grant that was approved by the council, and before you is a resolution authorizing the state participation on this project. The grant offers for $86,666, which represents 21.8% of the funding for the project. The city share for the total portion of the city share would not exceed $32,532. Staff would recommend approval of the resolution authorizing the acceptance of the MnDOT grant agreement for the airport East Apron Pavement Rehabilitation Project. And this would be the last step we need on this. In fact, I think the contractors are ready to start on this on Monday upon approval by the council.
Thank you, Troy. Questions from the council?
Troy, how long? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
How long will this project take to complete?
Should be done in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Motion to
Your
approve.
motion to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving on to Resolution 53-14, proposed 2015 levy, and there we'll go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. We're asking council to approve 3 resolutions tonight. One, setting the 2015 proposed levy amount, and a second resolution setting the 2015 proposed levy amount for the HRA, Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and the third is adopting the proposed budget. As you know, the city is required to adopt a proposed budget for the following year and certify its proposed property tax levy to the county auditor on or before September 15th for the EDA and the HRA, and on or before September 30th for the city. There's no levy limits in place for 2015, and on a positive note, the city's tax capacity has increased an estimated 4.2% for 2015. The 2015 proposed levy includes an increase of 4%. The total proposed levy for 2015 for the city is $10,212,518. This levy amount includes the city levy of $9,932,518, the EDA levy of $150,000, and the HRA levy of $130,000. Both the EDA and HRA levies have proposed a $10,000 a year increase from the previous year. The current levy increase follows a 5-year period that had a total levy increase of only 2.65%. The final levy amount and budget will be presented in December. December 2nd at 6 p.m. will be the presentation of the entire budget to allow for public input, and then the city will adopt the final levy amount and budget on December 16th. The budget impact, this will set a proposed levy for 2015, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. And with that, we will take each one individual. And with this, we got proposed levy, 5314 is the resolution number. What is the council's wishes? What is council's wishes?
Just a clarification that, Chris, if we approve this 4%, that's,
Oh,
we
yes.
can always lower it. It can't go up, but we can lower it.
Exactly. I should have made that point.
Explain
Yep.
that. Okay.
And I've got a comment about the levy and also with the budget. My hope was, as of last year, we did increase our expenditures with a minimal, increase across the board, but we did see some more revenue. So we did have a relatively large increase in expenditures. My hope was that this year we would be able to have a reduction in the tax levy to reflect some of the one-time spending we did do last year. Unfortunately, we don't. That isn't included in here. Well, it's great, our tax capacity has grown. My fear was that our last year's expenditures would become the baseline, which they kind of have. So the opportunity to realize some savings and have some more property tax relief is really, this is the year we could do it. The state legislature, in their wisdom, waded into the property tax discussion last year, created an expectation in people that they would get a reduction. While they should not have gotten involved, it's not their area. There was an expectation that property taxes would get reduced, and we did have some extra money last year. So I would actually like to see us lower our levy request, even the preliminary amount.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? With that, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Kevin Rainey to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
This has been approved with one opposition. Moving on to the next one, it's 54-14, proposed HRA levy of 2015. What is the council's wishes there?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve. Do we have a second to that? Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Moving down to 55-14, proposed 2015 budget. What is the council's wishes here?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
This has been approved with one opposition again, so thank you. Moving on to the next items, 3.6 miscellaneous items. We got 3.6.1 is a deer control, and with that, we'll go to Chris.
Corky.
Hello again. You should have saw the memorandum coming from Keith Hiller. He has been part of this process since we met with you back in June on organizing deer hunting within the city limits. And so Keith's last duty part of this was to get the memorandum put together, and that's what you have in front of you today. Janine Vorland's here from the DNR. Mary Jo Knutson from the Park and Rec office is also here. She's the one coordinating the hunt applications as we speak. And so what we're here tonight for is just to get the final approval of the hunt that has been now put in place. And your memorandum, I think, has everything in here with a little bit of an exception under the purpose of the areas. I would like to add the areas of Mineral Springs Park, Manthe Park, Kriesel Park, Leo Rudolph Nature Reserve, and Maple Creek Parkway. And so those areas have been included as well into the hunt. And you can see through the memorandum here that 15 hunters would be allowed to hunt. They can take up to 5 deer during that hunt. They have to go through proficiency test. They have to follow all DNR regulations. And at any point during the hunt, we can call the hunt off. And so if we feel that, or you feel, or that it's under control, we've got to our number that we want to, we can officially go up to the 75 deer, the five per hunter. Reality, Janine can speak of this in better terms than myself on percentages, but it's like 90% will take 1 deer. Another 5% may take 2 deer. after that, there is no percentage that gets that low. And so in reality, we're probably looking at 15 to 30 deer, I would guess, and that's if everybody's successful at the same time, at the same time of hunting. So, so tonight we're just looking for your approval for that hunt, and I think everything else is explained here. Unless you have some questions, I can answer them.
Thank you. One question I've got is that with adding the parks, the different parks you've listed, what kind of safety requirements are put in place for notifying the citizens of Owatonna not to go into the area at the time?
Yeah, we'll be notifying them, and that the biggest safety part that we put into place here is the time of the hunt. We've started on the 1st of November. You can start archery hunting, I believe, on the 15th of September, Janine, is that correct? 13th? And so we've moved that back to November 1st, figuring that weather-wise, the park users will be down in numbers. And then we've ended it on the 14th of December. Again, expecting if snow comes after that time, then there becomes more users in some of the areas as well. And we've got, we'll be letting people know that it's happening through all the media, of course. And then we've also got in our regulations, they've got to be so far from a trail, they got to be so far from an active area. It'll be in the wooded areas of these parks, and our staff will be working with them at that. We will help them place their stands where their stands will be, and that's where they can hunt from. Okay. And so we'll go out there and the proficiency test.
Quite controlled. And
yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Kevin?
Got a question. Are they also allowed to do the hunt on private property?
At this point, not with ours. This is just in city property only.
Okay. I do have some concerns with opening it up to Manthe Park. What time of day would the hunt start at?
They could start a half hour before sunrise to a half hour after sunrise.
So it's about an hour period, or
they can start hunting a half hour before sunrise, and they have to end the hunt a half hour after sunset.
Sunset, okay.
Yeah, my fault. It's not an hour hunt, no.
You give you guys an hour to shoot.
Manthe Park, it'd be similar to the North Great River Trail. It'd be similar to Kaplan's Woods Parkway. It's in the wooded areas only of Manthe Park. The areas are designated. In that area, we'd only have one hunter because of the size.
Okay.
So that hunter will be put in an area where it's actively sees deer, but away from any type of heavy use area. And so it doesn't have a lot of use in that park other than going north to south through Manthe. And then if you went to the east of North-South Bridge in the middle of Manthe Park, if you're following me, there's a little bit more active area back in that area of trail use. But if you go between Cedar Street and that bridge, there's very little use. The handmade trail that they use is more used by deer probably than people, and that's probably the area that we would concentrate on, is that area between Cedar. The deer do follow the Straight River, of course. They move up the Maple Creek, and then they come up into Manthe Park and get in back of those houses back there. So
I guess what I'm looking at is the trail that goes through it. Kids use that to get to and from school.
We'll be a long ways away from that area.
All right.
Won't be away from that area. We'll be, like I say, probably not far off of Cedar Street. Actually, is where the hunt stand will take place.
Any other questions?
Is there a designated cleaning station this time?
We've asked them that they are to remove the carcasses. Correct me. They're to remove and the entire, they're supposed to remove them with the deer. Basically what they'll do is load the entire deer up and take it to another area to be cleaned and processed.
Okay.
And you mentioned the city employees will approve all the stand locations, correct?
Yes. Lynn Walters is a staff person that's an archery hunter himself, and also will be working with Kyle in the back here, who is setting up the proficiency test as a volunteer for us, and we'll be working with him, and then Lynn Walters as a staff person will be going out there with him as well.
So there is no set limit as far as how many deer can be called from each park, correct?
We can at any point say this area is done if we want to, and
but going in, it's wide open.
Right,
so,
and it's, you know, the areas will be, for instance, Kaplan's Woods will probably have 2 or 3 or 4 hunters in that. Maple Creek Parkway will only have probably 1. Mineral Springs will probably only have 1. Manthe will only have 1. And the heavier concentration will be in the Kaplan's Woods area, and the second part would probably be the Kriesel Park area on the far northeast corner of the city.
So can they request a park?
We will have, once they've applied, the deadline is the 11th of September for applying, and then once they apply, then they'll go through the proficiency test with Kyle, and those that pass then will be put into a hat drawing, and we'll draw them out, and then they choose when they're drawn their area. And so Hunter 1 will be picked, and he'll have a choice, him or she will have a choice of the area until we get the 15 sites filled. And at this point, we have 19 applicants to this today, as of today.
And as far as the applicants, they all have to live within the city of Owatonna?
No, they do not. They have DNR regulations, they can be from anywhere.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved now. We move on to 3.62, the process for appointment of the council member at large, and we go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. Council will need to approve a process of appointment. Previously, when the city experienced a vacancy, notice was given to the public asking interested residents to submit an application for consideration. Council members reviewed the applications, conducted interviews, and then selected the individual in accordance with the charter and city code. So may I suggest that we put applications on the website and available at city offices. Very simple, one-page, name, address, community involvement, why do you want to be a council member at large? And we could take applications until Monday, September 8th, 5 p.m., and then council can set a date which works for them that week to meet with, either meet and greet, have an informal discussion, or have a formal interview, whichever you prefer.
I guess I'd open this up to discussion now at this point as to what the council would like to do.
Oh, yeah.
I think the times are correct, that we open it until 5 o'clock Monday, which would be the 8th? The 8th of September. And then we review them, council reviews the applications for a period of 1 to 2 days, and then like Thursday, we set a meeting to interview, do a candidate open house forum type.
Yep.
And then would we vote on it at that point? Or after the...
Yes, you could vote on them then.
But we would not appoint until the following council meeting?
Correct. Formally install them.
So would everyone that applies be in the meet and greet? It would not be whittled down prior to that?
Right.
Or do you want it each individual, done by individual?
I think last time we had individual interviews, I think, with the council.
It does take longer to do that.
Well, we did it all in one night, didn't we?
Right. Yep.
You could do that too. It's your choice, whichever you prefer.
I would like to just make a recommendation. The Trulson name has been very, very involved in our community for many, many, many years. And Raymond does have a twin brother, Raleigh.
Okay.
And Raleigh has shown some interest that he would be willing to fill out Raymond's term for the next 4 months, ending December 31st. And I think that for the city to honor that and fill it with Raleigh would be a great thing to have happen for the Trulson family and for recognition for the city of Owatonna. So I'm asking if that it's possible to bypass the application process and recommend Raleigh for that position to fill it out for the next 4 months.
I guess I would look at what we can do legally, Mark.
charter provides that where the vacancy exists in an elective office, the council, by a majority of its members, fill the vacancy until the next regular election. So it's your task to do that. And then, some years ago, the council adopted an ordinance that said where a vacancy exists and where there are more than 2 applicants for the vacancy, the council shall conduct a preliminary election among its members. Then you whittle it down to 2, and then of those 2, the candidate who gets the majority vote would be the appointed one. The language of the ordinance that says that where there are more than 2 applicants of the vacancy suggests that there would be applications. So if it were, if you published, as the city administrator indicated that she would, the notice of the vacancy, the resolution that you previously adopted, there may be more than 1 applicant, then it would be up to the council to choose the successor out of those applicants, and it would be your at your discretion and your choice if it were a Raymond's brother. Does that make sense?
So basically what you're saying is that if there's interest, we really need to open it up?
I think that the ordinance suggests that there would be applicants, and so I don't know that in fulfilling the intent of the ordinance, I think it suggests that you would solicit applications as you intended to do.
Okay, so
I think you maybe run the risk of ignoring the language of the ordinance if you selected a person without soliciting applications, because the ordinance speaks in the nature of having applicants.
Okay.
So I think you're on the right course.
Okay, so basically what you're recommending, Tom, is that we would just appoint him, but that would be somewhat in violation.
If that would be allowed by the letter of the law.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be allowed by the letter of law, then I would encourage Raleigh to fill out an application and would have to review it through that process.
Okay. I think we would be violating the law there by what Mark is saying, so we should open it up, and I guess I would recommend that Raleigh apply for it also. And with that being said, I think we need to kind of set the criteria, but I think the discussion is, how do we do the interview? And if, as we've done in the past, is it's each candidate is interviewed separately. I guess that's where we're at right now, is should we do it that way or should we do the open forum? And I'd let it up to the council members to make their recommendation. So
I guess I'd recommend that we look at each candidate individually for 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
We can get done in a couple hours.
Yep.
I guess, yeah, I would agree with that. Go through the interview process. I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on each one, but I would agree to go that route.
Okay. Dave?
I think the process worked well the last time. It's not broke, so let's do it.
Great.
Yeah, we've set a precedent on how we want to do it, so I think we should probably follow through with that.
Nate?
Yeah, I think we should be consistent.
Okay. And I agree with that. So it's pretty much, we will set up a time on, let's say, Thursday?
Thursday? Sure.
For us to, once we determine the number of candidates, then we set up a time for each one individually.
Sure. Thursday evening, then?
Yep. Thursday
Okay.
evening would be the time that we would be doing
Sure.
that.
Once we get the applications, I'll let you know.
And I would say that depending on how many we started at, say, 5 o'clock.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Now, these are open interviews, is that correct?
They would be, yes.
Yep.
Yes. They would be open, and we would have open voting by the council.
Okay.
So, okay, do we need any action on this?
No, it was just a
Okay.
discussion
So
item.
this is how we would set it up for next Thursday evening, beginning at 5 o'clock to interview the different candidates.
Yeah, we'll get that
And I
published.
think we would vote on it that night
Yep.
and inform the individual who it would be to come and be sworn in on Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay, very good. With that, we'll move on to public comment, and if anyone wishes to speak on anything not on the agenda, please step forward and sign in.
Roger Wasik, still at 646 East Vine. I want to call attention to a love affair, where our love affair with chemicals and drugs is leading us. Slash drugs, because we only have 2 minutes here. I want to get a couple of highlights here. Recreational chemical use. I've already talked about the golf course, country club lawn syndrome that we're using piles of chemicals on. We've got food production, millions and billions of gallons and pounds. Clothing production. Hey, most people have chemically manufactured clothes. But the one I really want to hit on is health. And everybody's drinking water, chlorinated water, because you put chlorine in it so you keep it safe, you kill the bacteria. Interesting thing that I ran across in my latest book that I read called Herbal Antibiotics, Natural Alternatives for Treating Drug-Resistant Bacteria. Cholera has also learned resistance to a number of antibiotics through improper dosing by physicians. Even more telling, it has learned resistance to the primary drug used to kill it in the wild, chlorine. Chlorine, though naturally present in the ecosystem, rarely exists in pure form. Generally, it is chemically bonded to something else, as in such things as table salt, sodium chloride. Industrial production is around 50 million pounds a year of chemically pure chlorine. It is used in products such as organochlorines, e.g. the PVCs used in medicine, and commonly in water supplies as an antimicrobial disinfectant. Both cholera and E. coli have developed resistance to chlorine as a result. Dangerous in and of itself, but more so because E. coli, exposed to such large numbers of antibiotics in the human gastrointestinal tract, is one of the principal bacteria that learns resistance and passes it on. This information exchange is especially easy with other types of GI tract bacteria, especially if they're gram-negative, which cholera is. In 2000, when the first documented outbreak of simultaneous infection by enterotoxigenic E. coli and cholera occurred in India, both were resistant organisms. I also want to go on with what else we put in our water, even though this isn't direct city council, this is public utility, is we also put in fluorine compounds because, it's supposed to help your dental health. Well, the problem with fluorine and even chlorine in the water, and I'll refresh everybody here, remember the periodic table, you have the halogen column, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. The most active are at the top. They replace anything below it. Okay, you notice where iodine falls in there? Iodine deficiency in the body, you got thyroid problems. And I'm wanting to propose that we've got not serious health problems with not only the chlorine but the fluorides in the water because they're going to displace the iodine. And then you add dough conditioners, bromine dough conditioners in your bread, and you're taking in bromine. So now you've got all these things in the halogen column. These are laws of nature now. They're displacing the iodine. But anyway, the one that I was really interested in was the chlorine. And where so Better Living Through Chemicals has been leading us.
Thank you, Roger. Anyone else? With that, we'll move on to council comment, and we will start with David.
No comment tonight.
Thank you. Kevin?
School's open, be aware of kids crossing streets. Give them the opportunity to cross and be careful.
Thank you. Brent?
No other comments this night?
Nate?
Nothing to add.
Greg?
Nothing to add.
Tom?
A couple things. This has been my month to get some correspondence from other people, so I was fortunate enough to get a Central Park Owatonna bandstand postcard that was dated in 1910. This gentleman from Stockton, California found it in an antique shop and was kind enough to send it to us, so we can put it in our archives. The other one is Mr. Ken Dilmuth, and it says, "Dear Ken, I enjoyed visiting with you the day we went to St. Paul. I am enclosing for you a picture of the signing of the Owatonna State School Bill by Governor Anderson." So we have got for our archives a photo of when the governor signed the state school over to the city of Owatonna that we can add to our archives. And the last thing is when Greg and I went up to the League of Minnesota Cities meeting this summer, there was a city in
South Carolina that had a kind of a mascot of a squirrel. And they had their squirrel located in about 6 or 7 spots in the downtown area. And the contest was to find those 6 or 7 squirrels, and then you could turn it back into the chamber or something like that. And they also had them for sale. So one of the things that I've got is Princess Owatonna. We may start thinking about hiding Princess Owatonna in our downtown area.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Chris?
Nothing.
Thank you, and I have nothing either, so Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brent Svenby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.